So I decided to do another body scan video because, well, people are kind of looking at it and about, how I'm doing things. And so most of the people that I see have more than one problem, and probably most people you see have more than one problem. They're just sent to you, or they ask to see you because they've got a major problem. So they've got a problem that's in the red or the 70 to 100 range. Nobody comes to see you in that, in the green range, 1 to 30. People come to see you when it's up above. So anyway, I always ask people, well, give me the history or whatever about, say, back pain or something. Then I'll always say, so what else bothers you? Depending upon the age and the person and how many things they've got, usually they laugh, say, oh, well, you don't want to hear about all that. I say, yes, I do. And so they may say something about both knees and ankles, shoulder or both shoulders and a neck. And so I'm writing all that down. And I ask specific questions about all those. And so after I get that whole history, then what I'm going to do is what I call body scan. And so essentially I start at the bottom. Doesn't mean you have to, you can start at the top. But I just have them bring their feet up. So dorsiflexion, of course, I don't use that word in the clinic. And then I say, what do you feel? I don't say, does that hurt or is that irritating? I don't use those words so much. I say, what do you feel? And they'll either say, well, this one bothers me, or they both bother me, or they're tight, or they don't bother me at all. I have had some people that would say, oh, that bothers me all the way up to my hip and back. Now, if you're dealing with, you back up a long time ago, I would have said that guy's full of crap. I might have done some Waddell's crap on him or something like that. But to me, it's significant now because I realize that if you dorsiflex your foot, you're actually getting a little bit of knee flexion, which if you get a little bit of knee flexion, the hip has to be, turned on a bit or something like that. And if the hip's on, back might be. Who knows? Anyway, I don't judge the person. I'm just writing it down because I want that to get better, and that's what I said. I want that to feel better. And so then I do plantar flexion. Sometimes I'll say that cramps up. Well, I'm not worried about the cramp. I'll just not look at that again. But sometimes they'll have less motion, pain. It could be bothering the knee or hip, that kind of stuff. Now, that's all I do down there. Now, if they have an ankle problem, then I do two other things. Tip the feet out, tip the feet in, ask them the same questions. So if nothing bothers them down there, I always say, that means that's two things I don't have to worry about, meaning dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. Usually they get a little chuckle out of that, and then we just move up, straighten your right knee. What do you feel? Sometimes I'll feel something here, hamstrings. Sometimes I'll say, well, that's not that bad, and my retort is always, if it's not that bad, it means it's not that good. So they'll say, yeah, it's a little tight back here. So I want that to go away, check the other side, and then I explain to them too, if they're here for a back or something, I'll say smaller things like this that don't bother you as much have to get better before the bigger things. So I'm already trying to sell them into this. Anyway, the next thing I do is just hip flexion, straight up. And sometimes they can move, sometimes they can't. Somebody with a back problem or a hip problem, or what they call a hip problem, will probably say, yeah, I feel that here or here. So I say, all right, then I just jot that down, and then I have them stand up, and I tell them right off the bat, I'm going to have you bend forward, but I tell them I don't care how far you go. What I care about is, as you bend, when do you first start feeling some tension or tightness in the neck, shoulders, upper back, mid-back, low back, hips, hamstrings. And I tell them just to stop as soon as you feel any tension. Because I don't care about pain, because that way, because a lot of times if you say, well, stop as soon as it hurts, what happens is they tend to force it because they think they're going to get a gold star for performing well. And you have to talk those people out of that crap. And then the next thing you do is say, all right, just lean back. Now I don't care where they put their feet, for either one of them. All I care about is the motion, because if you worry about where their feet are, it may be an incorrect position for them. Because everybody moves differently. And so, essentially what I'm looking at is more than likely wherever they decide to put their feet and bend over, that's probably how they're going to do it next time. So, and I'm not running a test or a research project. to where I want to get published, to where everything needs to be exactly the same. You know, the same thing with leaning back. I give them the same instructions. Don't force it. Stop, you know, as soon as you feel tension or tightness, and then they just lean back, and then some go back farther or whatever. And then I always ask them, which one's more uncomfortable, leaning forward or backwards? Well, they got three choices. It's either going to be forward, it's going to be backwards, or they're going to feel the same. Anyway, next thing I do is arm raise, just flexion, just see where that ballpark is. Now, if they have a shoulder problem, you can also look at other motions, and typically what I do in the shoulder is, or when I scan the body, I'm going to go straight up, I'm going to go out to the side, then behind the back. Those three. I mean, you can do more, and if I have somebody with a shoulder problem, I might do more. I say I might. Typically I won't, but sometimes I've got that available for me. And so what do? Shoulder extension, you go external rotation like this. More than likely they won't be able to do this because it already bothers them getting it to here. Sometimes you can go behind the head. That's just more functional, just kind of like reaching behind. You know, typically I don't go through all of that stuff. And then, you know, I don't do abduction as much. I'll do a shoulder horizontal abduction. There's nothing wrong with doing this. I just haven't done it. Haven't saw the need. And then for a neck, have them look down, have them look up, ask them what they feel. Look to one side, the other side, ask them what they feel, jot all down. I never do side bending for the lumbar or side bending for the neck because it's not a pure motion. And the only time you ever really lean your head sideways is if you're talking to your dog or something like that, or have a telephone here, that kind of stuff. Side bending in the lumbar area, well, you know, your three lumbar stuff, they go straight up and down. You get a little bit of side bend or rotation, L4, 5, L5, S1, depending upon the person, because it just depends on how the facets are flared out. So you're going to get more side bending. That's going to be more of a thoracic kind of thing. So it's just one less thing for me to look at. So that's the entire body scan and why I do it and things like that. And people may feel things anywhere. If they do this, they say, well, I feel it down here. Okay, so I just write down I want to get rid of that too. And then typically, first thing I'm going to start with is a twist because it's easy. And then second thing I do is either an arm raise or a shoulder extension, depending upon, you know, which one bothers them the least. And then I just go on from there. So that's essentially my body scan. July 3rd, 2020. May change, may not. So thanks. Any questions about this? Just let me know.